Hello. I don't even know where to begin. I know I have been absent, but I don't take absenteeism as being not wanting to share. So, hello, good day. I hope you're feeling all right. I hope your world is how you want it, um, or at least you're striving and you're capable to do that. You know, you won't believe. And I say these things. I have an aunt, and I've mentioned her in New Mexico. Um, she's about 15 years older than me. She was married to my mother's brother many years. He and his brother, both my uncles, were born in Kentucky 1940 and then 1941, and they each didn't reach as tall as, oh, I would say 3 feet. Their legs were uh, bent. The word we used then was crippled. I don't know anything appropriate or whatever, but I grew up with them. I never saw, what others saw. One of my uncles was an artist, taught me, etc., etc. So anyway, I bring that up because that's an outlet for me when it comes to not just being able to share or try to find sanity at times. A lot of it for me is just walking out my front door and this new cat, this new kitten, which about a week ago I realized that he has balls. I have been thinking this whole time this kitten, which I've been trying to find a house for forever, is a boy, and I have now 4 cats, and my other 3 are older, and my oldest cat, Poe, who's my black cat, my beautiful boy. Took him a bit. He don't hiss and spit and show his teeth at him anymore. But the girls, I have one that's about 6 years old, Louie, and she's already an odd kid. So, anyways, I digress. There has been the past couple months. My oldest daughter has suspected that. Well, actually, she didn't suspect so much as it was they were not communicating. They've been in a relationship for over 10 years. They have a son, and then she has a daughter from a previous relationship who is now grown. She's 20. But they are a household, they are a family. He, her partner, um, he's doesn't really drink. He does smoke. He is overweight, works way too much, but their communication was breaking down. And she really was kind of like, okay, whatever, because people go through things. You never know. But this was getting, and I even told her, I said, why is he on social media? Since when? Like, I don't mean on, like, looking. I'm talking he opened up his own, and he's talking on Instagram, talking on TikTok. This is not a behavior that I could ever see coming. I said, what's that about? And I never even went and looked or joined or was curious. I just went, okay. So she would check it and we'd talk and things kept going on, but then she would tell me certain things, and just from my experience at my age and where I've been, I said, you might want to check his phone. Or, no, that's just like a boundary. Okay. Well, he had said something to her over the weekend, like, gave her an ultimatum, which devastated her. She's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, get a job, get a She works part-time like DoorDash, whatever, because she's got children. She also watches my youngest daughter's son, and they just do things. She also takes care of some elderly people. So the money she makes was pulling in grocery money. Otherwise, he wouldn't providing, has not been providing. And that was, I thought, she thought, excuse me, she thought it was just like a phase. Like he's just being pissy. So she stayed at her sister's for a day or two, kind of getting some air. Because she's like, whatever, because he just said, like, I'm done. You can stay here, but she's like, what are you talking about? She goes home yesterday, walks in the door, and he's laying there. He had a stroke at 40 years old. Excuse me, 39 years old. He does turn 40 this year. But he's garbled. He's a left-handed person, but he can't, his whole left side's paralyzed. He also can't swallow. Ambulance came. She is stuck by him. Went to, his parents were in Mexico. He's Hispanic. They're my age. His father's a little older, but they live right down the street from him. Their home is actually historic. It used to be a midwife's home in the 20s, and they've been remodeling since they got together. She was like, I'm not moving in here unless you do A, B, C, and D. Well, he did A, B, it skipped the other and got like to E. He calls an electrician just to do where he's sleeping because they haven't had air conditioning. That's why she went and stayed at her. She didn't tell me none of this, which is fine. So anyway, hospital. Parents arrive that evening, late evening. We're Southeast Texas. I think they flew. I think they left the car. I don't know. But what I do know is, before they got there, she gets his phone. She's able to see that he's been on. He's so stupid. He's so ignorant. But the whole conversations he was having with a woman, which it's not, it's auto-generated. He got on one of those where God, I'll get the word in a minute. Let me keep talking, it'll come. Because it's late afternoon right now. I've had a very busy morning. And I notice usually my thought patterns aren't as together in the late afternoon. So anyway, he had joined and they were DMing, and so she sent me all this information and I was reading it, and everything he was saying was made up. Like he said he found condoms in her vehicle open. He was saying things like she's just like baby mama and blah blah blah. Things he said were, for me, unforgivable. But I want you to know, and this is for the women in the world that's ever been cheated on, lied upon, said he said she cooked, she did this, that. None of it. But dummy doesn't realize it's catfish. He's catfished. Everything, in fact, this is auto-generated. You can tell. He thinks he's talking to some woman in the Philippines. Meantime, he's now had a stroke after all this, and she's reading. She sent me, and I just let her vent. And she ends up getting a 3-way call from me and her sister. And I want you to know, like I said, for all women, he's laying there. Nobody understands him. She does. She'll tell them he means this or he means that. Well, anyway, She was by herself. They had left the room. And she was going to go outside, stretch, whatever. But she leans down to him and whispers in his ear. You listening? She leans down and says, I got you right where I want you. He tried to swing, but couldn't. And I told her how proud, and I mean that. I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. Because someone who's so egotistical, someone who is not cared about for quite some time, communication breakdowns been happening. You know, when you love someone, especially if you have connections and you've built a home, you've been through, you listening? And I had 2 marriages, and I never had the opportunity to, to like have that feeling, like a get back, hardy har har kind of thing. Because meantime, she's still doing, even that moment, and there's more stuff. She quit looking. She says, I can't just keep reading this stuff. I wish I could share it with y'all, because I sure would. It's unbelievable. It's, I've watched the Little Catfish thing on YouTube. I know the original and also the other. And I told her, so contact them. When, he's lost money. The last money he sent was 2 weeks ago, and it was almost $1,000. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't have $1,000 to piss and hand somebody else. And it's obvious. Now it's so, because I asked her, I said, get his IP address. Her son is Geek Squad. Been there, he's 25. I said, her oldest son. I said, and then I called her brother, my oldest child. Her brother's 50. Works for ExxonMobil. I sent him a couple of them. Then I said, he's a retired Marine. On top of that, did 2 tours in Iraq. His youngest son just left. My youngest, he's not the youngest of his children, and I hate that. When they go out on you don't know where, what, when, ship. You don't know. And he and I discussed this for a while. And then I told him, I said, we call ourselves a tribe. Partial of that is my heritage. And the one thing I haven't mentioned either is when he had the stroke and hit the ground, the first thing he thought was that I had put voodoo on him. Voodoo. And because it's so unbelievable, someone who's egotistical, narcissist, all this has been doing things. And I mean, it's very, you know how it goes. It's over here, and it's over here. Nobody really sees it. You don't really know, as far as apart from inner workings. He doesn't never miss work, pays the bills, but he was getting to where he still does that, etc., etc. But now he's powerless. And my thing, his parents live right down the street. And their house, they're capable of. They have a handicap. Because I told her this is not a journey that's going to be a couple weeks. And this is an opportunity for you to figure out what you want. Which my aunt, going back to her, she knows it all. I said, why don't, she's flying up to Ohio. Her people, her mother's side's having a reunion. And when they get back, I said, come, well, I'll go get you. Uh, One thing is I'm the materfamilias. And when I was talking to you briefly about my heritage, uh, in my family, I was the darkest one. People talk about bullying. The only bullying I got was in junior high. I was tall and skinny, they called me like a string bean, and flat as a board. Whereas my friends were already booming and busted. My youngest friend in third grade started. I didn't even start my administration until I was 14. Looking at the time, and she's petite and popular, and they would say, "What? Do you wear band-aids for a bra? Are you a pirate's dream, a sunken chest?" I stuffed my bra once or twice, but I realized, so what happens is, good old Mother Nature. At the end of 7th grade, because here, and I say junior high, so in elementary, 1st grade to 6th grade, then you go to the middle part of school, and, well, it's 6, 7, 8. Take that back. 6, here I left in 5th, 6, 7, 8. But that year, they were crowded over at the high school, so they kept some back. So they had to figure out a special type of teaching, special little, and this is this is like early 70s, 71. So they had these open groups, cheers in a circle, and, I'm just like utterly whatever. So we go on summer break. Go back. Well, during the summer, I kaboomed. I'm 6 foot tall. So I, at that age, put back, not me, because we were all put back because there was no room. I come back and they didn't even recognize me. And I had prayed for boobs. Oh my God, that's something I wish they can become. And ladies, again, they shoulders and hang. Today there's more, but at that time I wished, because I used to get then you get comments, perverted comments. I don't know where this is going or where this is heading, but I needed to really share that part. I needed to say, sometimes we live through someone else. And the feeling I got of her saying this in the privacy into that moment is, to me, the ultimate. I'm not somebody that my partner now, 15 years ago, I started a relationship. We used to volunteer at the Texas Renaissance Festival. Long story short, the girl wasn't even old enough to drink. But I found out, kind of like my daughter has, bits and pieces, picking up the phone. But it was really, really, because my 2 marriages before, at least I told her, I said, they told me. My first one was in love with the secretary at his job, and my second one is like his dad. He was never faithful. Just, in the 80s, in his parents, and here in the South especially, it was like acceptable as long as you don't bring it home. You paying the bills, etc., etc. Well, he wasn't even paying the fucking bills. Sorry for my language. I'm getting tired. I need a nap. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm coming back. Universe, the world is. I don't want to get deep, but peace. Know that you're loved, and I will get back. Okay.